What's going on? This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today's chapter is with Hannah Talbot. She is a somatic care practitioner and the owner of Anam Cara Healing Center. Anam Cara means soul friend, and she's here to talk to us about that business and her practices. So we're going to get into it. What's up, Hannah?
Hi, Bobby. This is so fun.
Yeah, it is.
I just think it's the coolest being in this studio with you guys. This is awesome.
Yeah. You've been on Brennan's podcast before on Spokane, so for people, you can check out that one as well.
Yeah, I'm a fangirl of all the stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of all the fun stuff that you guys are involved in, both of you. So super cool to be here.
Yeah, so I'm honored, to have you here, and I just think you're doing some amazing things for Spokane and bringing that healing energy, and I've had some experiences at your place, which we'll talk about. But first, we wanted to open up with a breathing technique practice.
Let's do it.
So people feel free to follow along if you are able to, wherever you're at. So
I always say that we mentioned, we could do that before we start, or we could do it on air. And it was like, let's share it with the people.
Yeah.
And I often start anytime I do a workshop or anytime I'm speaking with some sort of breath with the group. So I think this is the perfect way for us to start. But I joke that it's as much for me as it is for you. Like, it's such a great way to get into your body, know? And so before you are about to speak with somebody or have an important conversation, take some deep breaths, know? So let's do it all together. So like Bobby said, if you're able to join along with us, awesome. You don't have to close your eyes for this, but if you can, you are welcome to. Sometimes when we close our eyes, it can just allow us to go a little bit deeper inward, a little quicker. Just have a little less for the mind to focus on. So if you're able to, close your eyes, but if not, no problem. Just start to notice your breath. Just check in. Where's it at? What's it doing? You might have already started to deepen it just when we said the word breath. It's something that we're doing all day long. It's the first thing that we did when we arrived here in this world. But so often we forget about it. So let's just check in, just notice where it's at. And then I'm going to invite you to deepen that breath if you haven't already. So go ahead and take a nice big inhale into your body and let it go. And another big deep breath in. Let it go. And just keep breathing like that, nice and deep. And notice where it feels like that breath might be landing in your body. It's just a sensation that you might notice. Where's my breath going now? Is it in my throat? Is it in my collarbone? Does it go all the way down to my heart space? Maybe even all the way down to my belly? Maybe put a hand on your heart if that feels good to you. And imagine that you could take your next breath in into that center of your chest, right in the heart space. Just feeling your chest fill up with your breath and press your chest into your palm. Just feeling your breath. Just a couple more like that. Nice and easy. And when you're ready, you can flutter the eyes open if you close them. You can let your hand come back down to your lap. Maybe roll your shoulders out a couple times. Shimmy, shake. Yeah. Have a little smile. Mm-hmm. The sun's kind of out. It's pretty out. This is out enough for me. Feels so good. Yeah. So
it's really purple in here.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's vibrant.
After this.
It's vibrant.
It's really purple.
I like it.
The colors are different from
yeah,
me
right? And it's so cool how the breath does activate your senses, right? So your sight, like just by breathing into your body feels like it's safe to feel those other things. You know, so often our nervous system is triggered in the fight or flight state, literally for most of our day, often even while we're sleeping. And so we don't have the ability to tune into our finer senses of, you know, sight, smell, feeling, taste, sound. Like we forget about them and we just are going. So using your breath is one of the best ways to tap into presence, you know, awareness. And of course, to tell your body that you're safe, you're calm, you're cool, you're all good, right? And so we can use that tool for calming the body anywhere, which is like a superpower. But again, so often we forget about it, you know, because it's there. It's mechanical. We're doing it all the time. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
sure.
opening up this podcast with that. It's the first time we've done something cool like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Love it.
That was awesome. I feel much more clear. I've only eaten fruit today too, so that's
you doing a cleanse?
I'm not doing a cleanse just for today. I just was like, you know, I went to get breakfast and I was just like, I'm just gonna get fruit today. I've been doing it more and more with fruit.
Yeah.
I just feel that that's what my body and my mind needs also, and just like being lighter.
Yeah, I was going to say processing a little less. And,
yeah. And trying to, in the winter, I feel like I eat heavier for sure.
Yeah.
But in the summer, I'm like, oh, it's fruit season for me. You know?
Right?
Like, I'm trying to.
I hear that.
Just be, and I've just been seeking more and more health. And I know fruit, even just for a day or even just half a day, just helps me really clear up my energy, gain energy.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I actually did just a couple days ago. I did like a little cleanse too. I called it a micro cleanse or a macro cleanse. Or I was like,
cleanse,
it's like I cleansed the way I wanted to, which is kind of like what you're talking about, is just intuitively, you know, eating and also intuitively cleansing. Like I wasn't like, it has to be 3 days and it has to be only water. I was like, if I want to, I'm going to have broth or broccoli or something light. And, but I was just, you know, trying to kind of, clean up the system. Cause same thing. I'm like, Spokane has some good pizza, y'all. And I've been eating that pizza a lot this winter.
What was your favorite? What are some of your favorites?
Well, tonight, actually, we're going to have pizza. We're going to go have Market Street. And I'm seriously so excited because I've been eating all those fruits too, Bobby. I've been doing a lot of fruits and vegetables. And I'm ready for that cheesy, melty, crunchy, crispy. Yeah.
For sure.
My girlfriends know, we have a big joke with my girlfriends that cheesy, melty, crunchy is the way to my heart. It is.
Yeah, there's nothing better after going through and eating a bunch of fruit and then abstaining from heavy foods and then going when you reward yourself with it or whatever that is. It kind of goes
back to that thing that we were noticing just a moment ago, right? When we closed our eyes, because you probably don't spend a lot of time in this space with your eyes closed, you know? And so we closed our eyes and kind of tuned everything else out. And so then when we opened them, it was like, oh my gosh, it's so purple. It's so vibrant, you know, like it's literally a different shade now, 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
But same thing happens when we sort of give our taste buds and our digestive system and just our whole, again, nervous system a break from things like sugar, gluten, dairy, whatever it is that you're cutting out that, like you're saying, maybe your body just wants a little break from. Then when you do have it again, it's like, you know, I mean, you do just like, you're like, oh my gosh, this tastes so much different. But I also think what's fascinating, I mean, we could talk just all about just this, like in terms of health, like, I've been listening to so many scientists and doctors and researchers on other podcasts talk about how you don't have to take for, months and months and months to reset your body. It just takes a couple days of like eating maybe a little lighter, for you to feel different. And then like everything does like literally taste different. It's cool. It's a mindfulness practice.
I noticed too, like for me, okay, I'll finish this thought. I noticed for me, like if my stomach, like understanding that your gut has intelligence, understanding that your gut has a mind, right? And trust your instincts, trust your gut kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if my gut feels out of sync, like if it's whatever, just not, I feel like, something's going on down there. Like it is not good, right? We'll just say that, right? Like, just, if it's just not feeling good, like it's because you putting stuff in it.
Right.
That's not conducive. And if I get to that place, I'm like, all right, tomorrow I'm just going to eat fruit. I'm just going to, or I'm going to fast for half the day, and not just start off with breakfast and putting more stuff in it that instinctually I know I don't want to eat. I am blessed because I have a crazy fast metabolism. Like the other day I ate, like I kind of indulged in some pizza. It was like, cause I don't drink, I don't do anything. It was like a weekend night. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go off on some pizza tonight.
It's going down right now. That's how I've been feeling all day about this Market Street pizza tonight.
Man, I ordered the pizza. I got the wings.
Yes.
I got the Cinnabon rolls. I went crazy.
Totally.
And afterwards, I was feeling like, I was feeling like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball or something, or Fat Camp. I was like this.
Oh boy,
feeling
not
fat.
right. Just not the same. Not right.
I was just like, I partied hard, man.
Right.
I woke up the next morning, I was cut up again. I was like, it's crazy how I can do that. I don't understand
My
it.
little brother's like that.
But regardless of that, I try to still make decent diet
because that's what your cells, and that's, what's...
You feel it in other ways. It's not just your weight and stuff.
And that's like you were saying, your gut... when we were doing at the beginning of the podcast, the breathing, and I was telling you to breathe into your heart actually has its own intelligence system as well. Right. So your gut, your brain, and your heart all have neurons and intelligent systems, and like they all have their own brain essentially.
Right. It's all in our language. Listen to your heart,
right? Trust your gut, exactly. And so, and a lot of the work that I do is based on our vibration, our cells. And so, even though I love that pizza, I also know that I can't say
celery,
it, but you know what I mean.
Celery?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. It sounds like we're saying celery. But on a cellular level, my body vibrates and literally functions at a better, higher level when I eat things that are nourishing for it and are from the earth. And even if that means it's animal, but like, where did that animal come from? How did I prepare it? Exactly. What's what are we putting in our body? And that's one of the podcasts that I listened to recently. I can't remember who it was, but he just was saying, we are, and I talk about this all the time at Anam Cara, we are over 70 trillion vibrating cells. And those cells are regenerating constantly, all the time, at every moment of the day, right? And in it's like 7 years or something like that, we are like all new cells.
Right.
It's bonkers, right? And so he was saying, do you want your cells made out of Doritos, or do you want your cells made out of, like whole foods that nourish your body? So it's like, can you live off of Doritos and pizza only? You can, because I did it this winter. No, I'm exaggerating, but you can, right? But how do you feel? And then literally on a vibrational level, like how are you connecting to yourself, to others, to the earth around you, like it can't feel good. You know, our human bodies weren't designed to live with all of this processed food, to live in a world of constant noise, walls. Like our bodies are designed to live close to earth, eating things from the earth, and designed to do fasts. Even though, you know, I think everybody should eat in a way that feels right for them. I'm in no way like, you know, but it's like we should live close to the earth. Well, and we don't.
Yeah, and there's science behind fasting of like why it increases your clarity and stuff, because when we used to have to forage and hunt for food, if we weren't getting the food, that meant we entered into fasting for some time, and that actually increases your like your vision increases. All these different things increase because it's like, oh, we got to find food right now.
Yeah.
And so like tricking it in the modern age is, you know, one about discipline, not, you know, always needing food and reacting to that hunger that your gut is like, oh, I'm hungry.
Right.
Well, having kind of that more control of, I think balance is something that I found, because like with my metabolism, it's like, I like feel like I border on like hypoglycemia sometimes. Like I'm like the epitome of the Snickers commercial at times. If I'm not preparing mentally to fast, and I start getting hungry, like,
watch
and
out.
I haven't, like I'm not mentally prepared that I was gonna do that. I start acting crazy.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people that know me close know that. They're like, bro, you need to eat. Or my mom was like, you should get some, you know.
I have little snacks everywhere for the same reason, just in case. But at the same time, I feel you, because I just did, you know, my fast, but I didn't have anything all day while I taught Reiki mastership. And that's, you know, a super high vibrational kind of energy where, and like, you know, I'm teaching for 8 hours. Like I want to be super focused because it's just me like talking and like, you know, carrying out multiple different ceremonies and like, you want to be on. And so I just was like, you know what, I'm going to try fasting today and see how that feels energetically. And it was like this, I was like, I'm Superwoman. I don't ever need to eat again. Of course, as soon as I got done, I was like, now I'm ready to have that feel. But it was really, really cool. It was a cool experiment.
I'm definitely, you know, this year I've been seeking my health a lot more seriously, especially my mental health, because I know that once I have more understanding of that, I can make better, healthy decisions overall for my life. And I've definitely increased my overall health over this year, and just my processing of life, how I handle things. And, you know, based upon that, I'm starting to make better decisions again surrounding my overall diet. And that doesn't mean though, like sometimes I don't lapse back for a night, you know, like I'm saying with the pizza, it's like, I'm gonna, cause there is something about embracing your dark side, but understanding that I've changed how I feed that dark side now. It used to be drinking alcohol, even sex, like whatever that was. And now it's like abstaining from a lot of those different things. I'm more like I was like starting to feel guilty about the pizza thing, right? Like, dang, I overeat it. And I was like, it's so funny that I can't even allow myself to do this. Like, that's the worst thing you've done lately, bro. Like, come on, bro.
We've
like,
come a long way.
It's all right, dude. You can do that.
And that's the thing about, you know, I also was thinking the same thing, because just, I don't know, like a week and a half ago, something like that, somewhere right around the full moon, we did Moon Circle. We have a women's circle every single month that gathers. It's super fun, cool thing. And we just do something different every month. And
you said a woman moon circle? Is it women?
This one isn't co-ed. It's just for femme identifying bodies.
Totally. I get that soul sister stuff, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. But we've had a few men's circles, and we'll do them again. We just haven't had quite the right 100%, like, I don't know. There's something about
The
men
dynamics,
gathering together.
totally.
Yeah, it takes something really special to make that work.
I get it, yeah.
So, but
especially nowadays, I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
it is what it is. But the moon circle that we did just a couple weeks ago, we were talking all about pleasure, and we were using the 5 senses to experience pleasure, because you could talk about pleasure in lots of different ways, right? So I had just done this moon circle on pleasure, and like we actually ate fruit as an experience of pleasure, but then doing a fast, right? And going like, well, why am I denying myself, right? What I want when I want it. And it's like, it's not that, right? Because that is the truth. And that is why, America, of all of the countries in the whole world, is the, kind of the worst at feeding itself, right? We're the most unhealthy because we take that to the extreme. And because we can have the pleasure of, let's call it food, but lots of other things too, at any moment's notice, we actually are depleting our dopamine all of the time, which is why we feel actually more lonely and less satisfied, and like literally like able to feel pleasure at the levels that we want to, because we're just feeding it constantly, right? And I mean that figuratively and literally, feeding it, the dopamine hit, whether that's food, sex, like you mentioned, or alcohol, or social media, or whatever it is, right? All the noise in our modern day society that keeps us thinking that this feels good. And that's what all of the programming around us is also telling us. This feels good and you should be doing it. And when you don't do it, or it is too much for you, what's wrong with you? You're the messed up one. And it's like, no. These are all essentially drugs in a way, right? Because we're getting the same effects on our body as if we were taking cocaine. It's
Yeah.
So
without all that
stuff.
Side effects.
So it's like so interesting how we just. I think that fasting is just a really cool example of mindfulness, of like, eating fruit or whatever for a day or a couple days or just an afternoon or just one meal or whatever you're doing it mindfully. Like, it's such an amazing way to live your life, because we do live in such a fast pace, go. And that's why Anam Cara exists, is because it's to serve as another support, to help take that, put our foot off the gas pedal of the go of our lives.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's amazing how quick you can feel better after just eating some fruit for a day or half a day or whatever.
Totally. And often, so I teach, tools for stress and anxiety reduction, tools for burnout. And I do that through mindfulness classes at Anam Cara, our daily 30-minute classes. But I also teach that to corporate teams. I teach it to schools, all kinds of people. And I sort of teach it through this simple step of ABC, awareness, breath, which we already tried, but I can talk about all kinds of breath techniques for your nervous system. And then care is C. And when I talk about care, I'm like, usually it's just checking in. What's the thing that I need right now? And often it's literally like a glass of water, a walk outside. Maybe a cup of fresh fruit instead of, pizza for the fourth night this week. That's what I'm saying, right? It's like, yes, indulge, eat the pizza. Like, I'm so excited to go have the pizza tonight, and I'm going to savor every bite of it. But,
but also give yourself,
I'm going to have fruit tomorrow.
The good stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
The stuff that can heal you, clear you, cleanse you. Yeah. I wanted to talk real quick too about the meaning of Anam Cara, soul friend, which is Gaelic.
Yep.
why did you choose Anam Cara? Why Gaelic?
Yeah.
For the language.
Yeah. So I think that it's important to have a connection to your roots if you can, to have a sense of where you've come from. Mm-hmm. And that's not always information that's available to all of us, right? Right now, like, this podcast comes out later, but just right now in this present moment, I'm teaching ancestral medicine to my somatic energy practitioner class. So it's like 25 people who are signed up in this 10-month course.
James is in it, right?
James is in it,
James
yes.
Pacotis.
James Pacotis, he's the
City
greatest.
Chapters alumni.
Yes, right? He's the best. Yeah. He's in it. And what we're doing is really deep diving on somatics kind of refers to the healing of trauma, memory, patterns, behaviors that are stored in our body, right? Versus just like thinking about it psychologically with our mind. That's part of it. But we're really kind of trying to bring it all together with what's also happening in the body. And so ancestral medicine or lineage repair and kind of knowing where you've come from is, right? Yeah, I know I saw your eye just go like, it's a big old topic. It's a big old topic. But we
love it.
We bust that open and it can be a really painful topic, whatever your lineage is. For me, I avoided my exploration of my lineage for a long time because one, I didn't know who my biological father was, and two, because I'm white. And I was like, I don't want to be white. Who wants that lineage? Who wants that history? Like we're always the bad guy, like I don't want that. And so there was a lot of resistance. And in my undoing of that resistance and my work to find my own roots, I came to find out that I was, essentially 100% European, mostly Irish, Scottish, and German, a whole bunch of other things. But, if you dive into the, Celtic history, like it's basically, for a long time,
Northern Europe,
were all over Northern Europe, right?
Yeah.
And so those Celtic roots are a big part of like my personal lineage. And so there was that connection that was happening. And then essentially I had a business name that needed to get changed, that was no longer in alignment, but I didn't want to choose just anything.
Yeah.
And so for like months, I was sitting on it. And at that time I called myself a soul care practitioner. And so, months of like, okay, what's it going to be? And I basically did this journey, this like deep meditation where you kind of take yourself into this deep meditative state to kind of ask a question or connect with your guides or connect to your higher self and sort of get answers, right? So you kind of journey in your mind or in the spirit world. So I like had gone on this deep journey. And again, like all my stories, Bobby, I'm like, I could tell a 2-hour story with this. I'll try to wrap it up.
I wish we had 2 hours.
But so I went into this journey and I kept hearing the word soul friend, soul friend, soul friend. That's what you are. Soul friend, soul friend, soul friend. So when I got out of that meditation, I Googled soul friend and Anam Cara came up. And I was like, what? Because so there's the meaning. Anam Cara means soul friend. And I had called myself a soul care practitioner. Like the work I do is to nurture your soul.
Right.
And so it was like, oh my gosh, that's what I am. This is it. And there's actually a book written by John O'Donohue called Anam Cara, and it's essentially a book of like blessings and sort of the story and the meaning behind what an Anam Cara is. And Anam Cara is the idea that you could be connected with somebody so deeply that, words don't have to be spoken, that time can go by and that there's still this supportive, loving connection between you. And it's really this idea of like feeling supported in your life. And the idea is that we would have an Anam Cara, a soul friend in our lives, who would walk with us through our entire journey from birth all the way to death. And that is something that I do with people, is help people cross over, work as a death doula. So I felt like it was also super important because it really did encompass the fullness of my work of like, that's what I try to be. And that's what this space is a place to be a companion, a friend, community, a safe haven for your soul to feel like it can connect back to itself or to other awesome souls. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
I love it because one, you know, pretty much mostly Irish. So, I mean, bunch of Northern European in me too, but my strongest roots are to Ireland. And like my great grandmother out there had 18 children out in Sligo, Ireland, which is in like the northwest part of Ireland, not Northern Ireland, but where the Republic of Ireland is.
Yeah.
Yeah, northwest corner up there.
And this is what's so neat about when you do start to learn some of your stories. And, you know, again, we can talk all about that process of learning what your family's history is or what your lineage is, right? Without necessarily having to have all the conversations or get on, submit your DNA or, you know, it's like it's a big topic that we're bringing up here, but this work of connecting with your stories and where you came from, it's painful and it can be really hard, but there's also so much beauty in it. And we find these stories of triumph, you know, like this woman had 18 children. Like that's incredible, right? Like just there's a body can do that, like nuts, you know, and like what her story is, you know? So that's, I think, one of the coolest things about that kind of work. So,
yeah, I love it. And I've been to Ireland and it felt
cool.
like home.
I haven't got to go yet. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it, but as soon as I was flying into Ireland, I just had this sense of being like where I was supposed to be. Like, and just my whole experience there was just it was like a homecoming. Like, I can't wait to spend more time there again. And, you know, of course, just always been enthralled with Celtic culture. And I heard some old timers there speaking like Gaelic and English mixed. It was just like so cool to, like, we were in this place Doolin, this little village that's like right near the Cliffs of Moher, kind of. It's on the way there, along the coast. And you know, you're there, you see the ocean, you see the cliffs. It's this little like old pub, like, and they're just so cool there. We go in, it's kind of, I think it was a little bit rainy that day, which it rained a lot there in Ireland, which I loved. I mean, it's just like magical there, the rain. I fell in love with rain there, like in a whole different way than I had before. But yeah, we were eating stew in this pub, and like there's these two old timers just talking. You know, you could barely understand anything they were saying. You'd catch an English word here and there, but it was just like so cool to hear these guys speak in such an ancient language. Well, from Europe, right? European, like, you know. So it was awesome. Yeah,
and that's what I think you end up learning is just that there's such richness in all of our stories, you know, in all the places, and how cool that your body had a visceral, you know, your body and kind of spirit had a visceral reaction to flying in, you know, and there's so much research behind our DNA holding the memories, you know, from generations back, not just a couple, but like a lot of generations. And so literally it's like in your bones, you know, it's in your DNA.
Even the Bible talks about it. It's like something about 7 generations. And so, it's, It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the name. Once I,
Thank you.
first heard of Anam Cara and did the, research on my own, just of like figuring out what it was all about, I was like, oh, she chose Gaelic words. That's really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people use Hindu or like, that essence, and just the essence that you use Anam Cara from the spiritual side of Celtic and Gaelic history is like, that was really cool for me.
Good.
So,
I'm glad. And it really is meant to be, rooted in something really important and special to me. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I liked that book. It was like, no, this is like really powerful. So
I'm going to read that book.
Yeah, you should. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. A lot of his stuff is really neat. Yeah.
Right after we get off here.
He's a cool guy. He's passed now, but he was a priest of sorts, but he also really liked to hit that pub.
Them priests
Irish
do,
guy,
man. Them
yeah, that's
Irish
right.
priests, oh yeah. I mean, all the whiskey, all that stuff came from monasteries.
Yeah.
In Ireland, you learn that real quick when you're over there, and you learn the history that, whiskey and all that. Like, that's how monasteries were making their money and trading for food and stuff. They'd be those monks. They like to drink. They'd be drinking over there.
Yeah.
I went to this. Anyway, it's a side note, but I went to this one bar. It's the oldest pub in like the world or something. Can't remember where it's in Athlone, Ireland, but anyway, they have this history there, and like the guy that owned that pub now, he was like telling this story of there's this island because there's this lake in Athlone. I don't know if it's called Athlone Lake or what it's called. Can't remember off top, but he, it's just that whole cool old experience where this old Irish guy's just telling you this tale,
right?
This great tale of this ancient time when these monks lived on this island and they traded this whiskey, and that's how they have the same recipe for this whiskey now. And like, it was just the coolest experience listening to him tell this story. And how much is true, you don't know, but that's what makes it so cool, is like just the grand nature of history passed down.
Yes, exactly.
It was really cool.
I love that. I love it so much. Heck yeah.
Let's get into why you started Anam Cara and why you brought it here to Spokane.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my why for Anam Cara is essentially what we're already talking about, is kind of finding myself drowning in the feeling of burnout, not enoughness, and like I thought that feeling of like, I thought life was supposed to be more or easier or better, or just feeling like
fun maybe too.
Right. And
like
fun too, for sure.
This.
Right. It was just like, I was at the time where I found myself kind of in that stage in my life. My son was just a couple years old. I'd been with my husband for many years at that point. I think probably close to 13 years or something like that at that point. And we're on over 20 now. So we're
Very
still
cool.
trucking. But it was feeling like, and I was the director of operations for 4 different restaurants and sort of HR, management, like just kind of doing everything for 100 plus people and just 24 hours a day, just like nonstop, go, go, go all the time. And I had no tools except for, drinking. And I mean, I worked in a restaurant, like I was paid in food and booze. I joke that I'm like, I was literally paid in martinis, and that does make things for a moment feel not so bad. Right. And then the next day you wake up and go, oh shit, this isn't great. Like my body doesn't feel great, but my mind doesn't feel great. And all the stress is still there. So
it's worse.
It's the worst.
I mean, my experience.
Yeah, right. And so I found myself searching for something, to help me with that feeling, and found my way into yoga, which kind of led into mindfulness, and really the search for a place where I could learn about mindfulness and meditation. And I couldn't find any. And at the time I lived in Seattle. The only things I could find were, outside of I accidentally almost joined a meditation cult, and that wasn't right. So that's not what we were looking for,
right.
Or it was like, it had some sort of religious or philosophical, undertones to it. Yeah. Right. And so it just felt like I couldn't find a place where somebody could teach me how to be more mindful and let go of all the crazy thoughts in my head, right? Like, okay, the yoga feels great when I'm in the yoga.
Right.
And the breathing feels great when I'm breathing and I'm on my mat. But what do I do when I leave my mat and I go back out into the crazy, right? And where's community around this, and who do I talk to? And so I would say I started taking yoga really consistently, and probably about a year in, one of the teachers was like, you should teach yoga. And it was first response was, there's no way, I'm way too messed up for that. What are you talking about? That's crazy inside my head. I can't teach yoga. People who teach yoga are all healed and elevated and don't make mistakes and probably are vegan, and I can't do that. And
that has not been my experience, but
that's right. Well, that's exactly it. So she showed me behind the curtain, and it was like, no, sorry. And this was a long time ago too. And it was before they didn't have any kind of teacher program or anything like that. It just was like, you should do this. I think I could see you being really good at that. And it just was like a light bulb went off, and so I immediately thought, well, if I was going to teach, I would own my own space. And so I originally thought that this space, all of a sudden it was field of dreams, couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything but think about this space that I was going to open. And literally writing out the schedule, what classes, the offerings that we'd have, the mission statement, all the things, up at 3:00 in the morning, just writing like a psychopath,
tapped in.
Yeah. Right. Just tuning into it. So, but I was still on my own personal healing journey as I was going through, yoga teacher training, which I took a year-long teacher training, and then I also was teaching bar and all kinds of different things. And I left my job and was like, I'm opening this space. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm going to do this. And I wrote a business plan. I was all in. And my own healing journey led me deeper into mindfulness and meditation. And then that led into Reiki and energy work and learning that. And once I started learning Reiki and practicing that on other people, that's when I was like, oh, no, I'm this is it. I'm home. Yeah. 'Cause I love yoga. And I love to take it, but I don't actually, and I enjoy teaching it, but it's not a deep moving, oh my gosh. Whereas when I teach other energy work, or I have a Reiki session with somebody, that's whoa, oh my God, this is crazy. And so that all then shifted what I wanted to do, right? And so it no longer was a yoga studio. It became this space that I was searching for. Where could I go, both as someone who wanted to go to workshops, have a meditation teacher, go to meditation classes specifically, not just yoga, but meditation specifically, have, place where I could meet practitioners who maybe do things like healing work, like Reiki or Akashic record readings or all different kinds of modalities, right? Like, where could I go to find what I was looking for, both as a client, like what I wanted for my own healing. But then as I became a practitioner, I was also looking for a space to practice. So I started my business basically really, really like early on with a girlfriend. And for the first 6 months, she and I did it together, and it was all just mobile. And then I took it over and kept doing it just mobily. And so it was basically like bringing the mini Anam Cara to you. Before, it was called something else when she and I had it. But this sort of like I just like wanted to create this space where I wanted to work as a practitioner. And I rented so many different places to do my different events and workshops and trainings. And I had like 20 different bolsters and mats, and I would take in like 2, like cartridges of like, beautiful lights and candles, and basically like turn any space into like this gorgeous kind of Zen den experience, which was fun, but a lot of work. And so I was looking for, like I said, this space that I both wanted as a practitioner, but also as a client. And so that's how Anam Cara sort of came to be. And all the different things that we offer because they're sort of under this bigger umbrella of what are we looking for when we're looking for somatic healing of our body, our mind. Like you were kind of talking about, your mental health is so important. And that's literally what Anam Cara is. It's sort of like, this kind of gem for your mental, spiritual community well-being, because all of those are just as important as our physical well-being. Like we now know, and maybe we've always known it, but we're really like backing it up with science now, that it's like, we know that the mind, stored all of our thoughts, and we thought that it stored all of our memories too, but it's actually your body that's storing a lot of that. And we've known for a long time, right, that it's good for us to move our bodies and to eat well, because we'll feel better and live longer. But if we want to live full, happy lives, we also have to tie in our spiritual, emotional, community well-being. And so that's really what Anam Cara is about. Yeah.
Wow. Just a home runner right there, y'all. Hannah just knocked it out the park.
Oh my gosh, Bobby, goodness. You're so fun. I love it.
Sheesh. Actually, we're going to stop this right now and head over to Anam Cara. Sorry. I need this healing. She just sold me. I've already been sold. She resold me. No,
oh my gosh, you are hilarious. I love this. This is so fun.
Dang, that.
Thanks, man.
Eloquent.
Thank
delivery.
You. Well, I literally like feel it in my bones. It was something that had to be birthed, like, and that I dreamt of doing literally day and night for over 6 years before we actually like started the construction here in Spokane.
Yeah, so you had it on the west side area for 6 years. And since you had the whatever that is, that tap-in moment of what it is you want to do.
Yeah.
Have you been able to more often than not carry that same energy till this day of your purpose, of that excitement, of that purpose?
Yeah.
Or I'm curious, because I've had my companies for 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's been rough, at some points of even if I want to continue to do it. I'm just curious, but I keep doing it because I do feel there is a purpose, in especially city chapters for me. And, I didn't know it when I started the brand, but this podcast then came about. And these type of conversations, I say it in a lot of my podcasts, but like this one right here specifically is why I like doing what I do, because it gives me the opportunity to create a platform to speak to somebody that's
For sure, right?
like you. I mean, you're a special individual.
Yeah.
My perspective.
Thank you.
You know, I think you're special. I think you're doing something amazing for Spokane that's needed. And, you know, to be able to sit and just have this conversation with you is just a big reason why I do this, but also being able to share it.
Well, I think that's what I was like, yeah. Because I was agreeing with, like, that's it. You're on the right track. When it's something, when you have a passion that you would do, whether you're, you know, making $100,000, $1 million, $10, whatever it is, right? Like you would literally do it for free. Like, and believe me, I did a lot of my work for free over the years, and I still do.
Yeah, I do too.
And, you know, I was just talking with a friend today about this, about the showing up for this dream and believing in something so deeply that you continue to go after it and show up in the same capacity, whether there was one person or there's 30 people in my meditation class. Like, I show up with the same energy. And I would say that that is part of what makes my brand successful, is because I am so passionate and so clear about what I'm doing and why. Even when it was originally going to be a yoga studio, my mission statement is actually still the same. You know, as that night that I was up at 3:00 in the morning writing on the big, you know, Post-it on the wall, my mission statement's the same, which is to help people. And really that aspect of what I do, helping others, has been a through line for my whole life. Like, when I look back at, you know, like, it's not that crazy for me to be doing what I'm doing, even though it is really different, right? I still am helping people, and that I've kind of been doing my whole life. And I do think that for me personally, that's how I know I'm in the right place doing the right thing, is because I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, there are some days where it has been questionable. Like, I mean, you know, we could sit and talk just about business. I love talking about business. I love talking about it. And how to make your business successful. And there have been many times when it was like, you should throw in the towel. Like, this is crazy, you know? And I've been lucky enough to have a partner in my life that has helped support me with time. You know, he's given me time to focus on my dream, because he holds it down on our home front with our family. And then also, you know, he holds down the, you know, a lot of the financial responsibility, so that I have been able to make a lot of risky moves. Like, I make risky moves in order to do what I've done. And I think that that's another aspect of being in business, that it doesn't have to happen, right? That you have to risk it all. But sometimes that's required to level up to that next place that you know you can go. It can, you have to be willing to fail too. You know, there's another aspect of that, of like, I'm willing to try this and for it to not work, and to learn how to do it a different way. Like, it doesn't mean that I have to throw away the whole thing. Like, for me, again, like, my mission statement is to drop people into their heart centers so that that has a ripple effect in our world. I can do that a lot of different ways. You know, my blessing for the world, like my calling for the world, is that everyone be nourished and ignited, including myself. And so I can do that in a lot of different ways. So I've been willing to go all in on me and bet on me, like again and again and again and again, and trust me. And that's it. Is not always easy, and sometimes it doesn't always seemingly like it doesn't mean that it works out in that moment. immediately, right? Like the bet. The like, and the like, yeah, the like, and the dedication and the hours. You know, I think didn't Macklemore say it's like takes like 10,000 hours? I mean, not probably Macklemore, somebody else said it, but it takes 10,000 hours to perfect your craft.
Yeah, it's called the it's named after somebody.
And that's just when you start getting into flow state, is what I think, right? Like that's just when you start feeling like, okay.
Yeah, I wish I remember what that's called.
Me too.
Who it's
I
named
can't remember.
After. There's a book on it, and then
here comes Brennan.
Malcolm Gladwell.
It is Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah. He's the one who said it in the book, but I don't know if he's the one who originated 10,000 hours.
The producer is coming in from the back with Malcolm Gladwell.
I wanted to say Malcolm Gladwell, but I didn't want to misspeak. But Malcolm Gladwell is who initially came up in my mind. But yeah, 10,000 hours for sure. I mean, that's the minimum to even, I think, get to a place where you can be a professional at anything, like truly. And I think for me, I've definitely put in 10,000 hours. I'm sure I have, but 10,000 hours also on yourself too. Like the intention of who you are is something I think I probably am just maybe getting towards crossing the threshold of, because it was all about just like business, money, being whatever I thought I was going to be, instead of really taking who I am at my core as a person and working on that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, my intention has been getting more focused on that over the last 10 years for sure, since I was 25, 26. Definitely like by 27, 28, I was taking it a whole lot more seriously and still struggling.
Wow, I wish I would have taken it. I mean, I guess I was in my early to mid 30s when I started really coming into this work, but
I mean, I still am. I'm 35 now.
I'm in my 40s, and I think I still am as well.
Yeah, and I just don't think it stops. So you were saying about 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
And about just kind of going through the process of business. So I mean, do you still feel like you still like today have that burning desire, or has it changed, or do you come back to it, or?
Yeah, I do. And like it's kind of, it actually has to be reined in. Like it's one of those where you're like, I just say yes to everything. And then I'm like, oh shit, I only had 2 days off in the last month. Oh, whoopsie, whoopsie.
So you're really in it. That's great.
Oh, yeah. It's not, I mean, like, and that's the thing that's so funny about, what I do, because honestly, if I didn't have the tools that I have now for nervous system regulation, to manage my emotions, if I didn't have the support that I had, from my husband, all of that, like I couldn't do what I do, because I do work. It's not uncommon for me to work 12 to 16 hour days, teaching like early in the morning all the way till late at night, between teaching, meetings, doing community work, having one-on-one clients, corporate work, private events, classes, and then events for the public. And then I do a bunch of different trainings. Like it's not uncommon to work but I'm like, everything's a yes for me. I don't do anything that I don't like. Like I'm like, people tell me all the time, they're like, your job is so cool, and I'm like, it is. But I do definitely, have a capacity, right? Like I do get tired. I joke that I'm married to a normie, like a guy who just like wants to chill and watch baseball and eat pizza and just kind of like take it as easy as we possibly can.
Right.
And sometimes, not sometimes, I mean, I'm grateful for him all the time, but sometimes it is really nice to just go home and be like, let's just watch Seinfeld and chill,
Yeah,
or
Seinfeld.
sit out
Let's
in the
go.
backyard and chill. So because the work that I do is also deep and intense, but it's so beautiful and it's so cool. And I get to meet amazing people all day long. Like you said, I get to be in situations like this. I'm like, how cool is my day?
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to go kick it with Brennan and Bobby and do a podcast. Like, what a rad day, So I really do have a fire and a passion for the job. But I also, I don't want to work 16 hours, 7 days a week forever. So we're actually in that place of growth and expansion where we, I say we because there's more than just me who make Anam Cara what it is. We have amazing teachers. We have amazing collaborators who hold events with us, people who rent our space, people who have their practices inside Anam Cara, their own businesses inside Anam Cara, and do their work out of our place. And then I have Tara, my operations assistant, who I literally can't frickin' wait. She's going to get back any minute. I'm like looking for her out on the street right now. I'm like, Tara, where are you? She's been gone for over 3 weeks in Costa Rica. And so when she gets back, I'm like, girl, it's on. We're in expansion mode of like, how do we continue to do what we do at the caliber that we do it? But I'm not the only one who does everything, my background is in the restaurant industry, and as the director of operations for 4 different restaurants, like my job is to see everything, like literally from the parking lot to the bathroom, and like what is the guest experience like in this place, and what happens behind the scenes that contributes to that guest experience. Well, in this situation with Anam Cara, in this business scenario, they're not guests, they're clients, they're students, they're community members, they're friends, but we are trying to provide an experience around your healing, and not to the level that it's not, some bougie, like, unreachable kind of like, no offense to Gwyneth, but Gwyneth Paltrow kind of like vibe. It's not like that, but it is an elevated experience that does feel like, wow, somebody put a lot of thought into this, because I put a lot of thought into it. So, I still am like, I'm pumped. I'm ready to like go in, Bobby, for like, I'm ready to go hard for at least another, I don't know. I think I got 5 to 7 years in me at this pace.
Yeah, 5 to 7 centuries. I'm reincarnate. We're gonna keep it going. That's good.
No, dude. My plan is to be. My plan, my ultimate goal. This is my ultimate dream: is to be very mobile in the next 10 years or so. Like once my son is either in college or graduated from college, or I just feel good about where he's at. But he's 12 right now, so I got a few years. But I want to just be like on the beach. I want to be traveling. I want to be teaching and talking. Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
That's in my plans too.
Yeah.
Like next, hopefully 5-10 years would be cool too.
Right?
But yeah, definitely want to be taking city chapters all over the place.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. I love that. And I mean, Spokane will be home base though.
Yeah.
We love it here. Like, this is kind of this beautiful middle ground for me. And it'll probably be home base though for us. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spokane and home base, so why did, you were on the west side and you decided to bring Anam Cara to Spokane? Why specifically Spokane? Why was it your choice?
Well, I'm trying to decide how long of a version I want to give you. So, I think the funny version is that I had a girlfriend. So it was, it was during the pandemic, and like so many people, our lives had really shifted, and my husband went to working remotely and didn't look like that was changing anytime soon. And I had actually tried to open a space in Issaquah. So we lived in Issaquah. My husband worked in Seattle. And I did events all over the greater Seattle area. And yeah, like everything energetically kind of just literally physically, like the space, like the house, everything, like it no longer was, or maybe never was in alignment. And which was crazy because on paper, right? Like if you wrote it out, it was like, no, we've checked all of the boxes, right? That say this equals happiness. This equals middle class. Like we made it. We're good, right? And I didn't feel good. Like something was off. And obviously it was the pandemic. So a lot was off. Yeah. But there was also this like feeling of not being in the right place. And it was crazy because we had just remodeled our house. Like, we had a beautiful house. We were in a beautiful location. Seattle's awesome. It's beautiful, right? It's, like this is where we're supposed to be. But there was this feeling of uneasiness, right? So that was underlying and that was already there. And then my girlfriend was like, who lived in Seattle with me, but is from Fairfield, which if you are local, then Fairfield is just a little south of here, teeny little cute town, kind of on the way to Pullman. And she was like, we're moving back to Spokane. We're moving to Spokane. And I was like, no, you're not. You can't move to Spokane. We don't live in Spokane. We live in Seattle. What do you mean? We wouldn't know. What are you talking about? And she was like, check out the housing market. And it was like, what? For me, though, it was a light bulb went off of that there would be some opportunity for us because we could sell our house and have a little bit of equity and then be able to open the business that I had been dreaming about for over 6 years, be able to do some things, with a house, like just a different layout, literally like a physical different layout, so that we could all be in the house together. And then it became so much more than that. Once the idea of Spokane happened, then it was like, oh, like everything just to me clicked and made sense. To me, it felt like for my business, there was such opportunity for it to come out here and that it would be something that was needed. And while I knew that what I had in mind and what I wanted to build would also be needed and useful in Seattle, it would kind of just be one more thing. And I also didn't want to be working in Seattle proper. I lived in Issaquah, which is only 17 miles away, but could be potentially an hour and a half away on any given day, one way, and so I wasn't ever wanting to go into Seattle. And so I would have had to open my business in Issaquah. And I looked for 5 years, and I tried to open something. And then all of everything just kept denying me. And it was like, why is this so hard? Like I'm here, I'm saying yes, I'm doing all the stuff, I'm showing up. And kind of like what you're talking about, like, how do you keep showing up when it's like seemingly like all doors are slamming in your face? And it's like, dude, abort mission. Like
the resistance is just so intense.
Right? Yeah. And it can be like, what are you even doing? And so that's why knowing your why and understanding, the purpose for what you're doing is so important. The how is important, but the why is just as important. They're actually both necessary in order to achieve something. the why is our like intrinsic motivator, the dopamine, like feel good motivator. And the how is the prefrontal cortex part of our brain that activates the habit and the like action and the needing to take the steps, do the thing, send the email, right? Show up, do the podcast. So we need to know why, but we also need to know how. So anyway, all doors were like, why is it so hard for this to happen here? And so when it became, like I said, there's a whole long saga of a story with the actual getting here. But the getting here was another, like literally leap off of a cliff. Like my husband was like, hell no. What are you talking about? Like, babe, we live here. He's actually from Spokane. He was born in Spokane and I'm from Montana. And so we have a lot of that, and we liked coming here, but again, just on paper, right? He's like, my job is here. My ski hill's here. My baseball team is here. All of our friends are here. Huck's school is here. What are you talking about? We just remodeled our house. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And I'm like Field of Dreams. Like, we must go to Spokane. We must build Anam Cara in Spokane. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so I was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
And literally came out with my son, and my husband held back and was like, you go check it out. And like basically what I think was hoping that I was going to come back and be like, well, that was a crazy idea I had. And instead I was like, nah, you better come out. You better hurry up. So anyway, I just felt like there was opportunity here, just because there was nothing like what I wanted to do. And I felt like the city you can navigate this city. I've been here a couple years now, so I'm starting to get used to what I call quote unquote Spokane traffic. Right now there's a bunch of road construction going on and it's like, oh man, I can't turn down Post. I have to go 1 block further and there's literally no cars in front of me, but it's going to take me 1 extra minute. Oh, traffic in Spokane. It's nuts right now. Totally. I've acclimated, but like, for the most part, you can get anywhere you want in the city in 15 minutes. It's badass. I love it, and my business is downtown in the heart where everything flows into. Seattle, like literally the flow, the energy of Seattle is totally different. Like when I first moved out to Seattle, I would get lost as a Montana girl who'd like never been on freeways. I mean, we have 2-lane highways. That's what we have. Right. I was getting lost left and right. I'd end up at like SeaTac Airport and be like, how the hell did I get here? Like, so when I moved to Spokane, I'm like, oh, I know where north and south and east and west are. I know where I am.
It's hard to get lost here, I feel like.
I mean, there's so many fun little neighborhoods and places to go play. Like that's one of my favorite things to do when I moved here is I would quote unquote go get lost, where I would just drive around with no agenda and like see what I find, see where I'd end up, So yeah, I just felt like there was opportunity here and a draw to come here. And, the people here in Spokane, I love it because it does have this feeling that is very familiar to me coming from Montana, which is that, people in Seattle are nice. People are friendly, they're nice, they're cordial. That's true. But here, there's this deeper feeling of community. I moved here and it was in the middle of the pandemic. And so I didn't meet anybody I didn't really meet too many people for the first several months. But then once, things started opening up, I literally just made the decision, like, I want to meet people. I think I'm ready to network now. And then I got a cup of coffee and literally started meeting people and have not stopped for 2.5 years now. And so I just feel like people really mean it when they say, hey, can we go have a cup of coffee? Like you and I did. No, let's seriously go have a cup of coffee. In Seattle, that just doesn't really happen. People are like, yeah, here's my card. Totally. And they don't, I think, mean to, cut people out or isolate. But because you do live in different neighborhoods and you are somewhat isolated because of traffic and just being able to navigate getting to each other, I don't know. There's this, and then people, I don't know. But anyway, it feels more like Montana to me, more homey. Like people are friendly, they're warm. So to me, I love Spokane because it's this nice balance of, that hominess, that kind of community oriented sort of like, takes a village kind of feeling that I had from growing up in Montana. But then there's enough of a city vibe, enough of I get stuck in traffic a little bit, right? So like that actually makes me happy. Yeah. I like feeling like I'm in a city. Yeah, I like being downtown.
There's some people here now, for sure. Yeah, with Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene and just Spokane, the way it's grown over. I mean, even since the pandemic, it's grown.
Well, that's how I got here, right? And I know I meet people every day who are like, I also just moved here, so, and, and I know that for some of our, our listeners that maybe have grown up here, it can be hard when change is happening, right? And people are coming in that maybe aren't from here or maybe are bringing change, but ultimately it's a good thing all around,
Yeah, totally. I embrace it. I love it because one, it brings in go-getters and we need that. I think that's my opinion. Now I know everybody else has their different views, political views, whatever. But for me, just as from a cultural standpoint, like we need people from big cities that know how to make things happen, know business, know money, know all these different things. Like, I just, I like it, personally. Yeah. And I honestly, a lot of times connect better with people that have moved here than people that have lived here a lot of times. It's like, I definitely that's just been my experience. So like for me, I'm like, yo, it's awesome that all these people want to move here because, these type of people come from cities that have already built things great. So they're used to a certain standard of culture and like they want that here too. Yeah. And I think up until post pandemic, like it kind of was struggling here, but now like I don't know, the city just feels way more alive. It feels way more active. There's always something going on now. Like
there's so much stuff happening.
I come from that old mentality too, still, like where like, man, like I just don't think nothing's going on. Like my mind's trained that, but there's like, it's just because I'm not used to actually looking now for it. And now it's like, if I want to find something, I can find something
for sure
pretty easily now, you know, something that I would want to do myself.
Right. Not that you're forcing yourself to do. Yeah.
And it seemed like before, like, oh, if you didn't drink, like that was a thing growing up. Everybody say, what else are we going to do but drink and party? Right. And now there's so much other opportunities for cool things to be doing, whether it's going to a market, whether I mean, there's so many different things going on, whether it's going to Anam Cara, you know what I mean? Shout out Anam Cara, you know.
Right?
You know,
but it's so true. And I think that people, you know, it's the combination of so many different things. Like, yes, of course, people moving here, but also people wanting experiences. And I think that part of that comes from, you know, of course, like I just think of how, you know, probably we all grew up. Like I grew up before there was the internet and before there was the social media. And so while my parents had influence from, you know, outside, like television and magazines and books and things like that, not and their own travels, right? But not to the level that we have now. And so we see people having experiences, and so we also crave experiences ourselves. And so when we go to places or we're living our life, like we want to have a fun life, right?
Yeah,
and so
totally.
what I love about people coming in is that they bring a new lens and a new way of looking at things and experiencing life that then they share with you through their work, you know, whether that be in their industry, you know, that like they do as a designer, or they do as a business owner, you know, like somebody like me opening up Anam Cara that's totally different and unique, or somebody who's opening up like Wooden City, like my friend Abe, you know, like, oh my gosh, it's so cool to have places like that, you know, or, you know, the Expo 74 right now has the Club 74 that Houdini Studios did. That's like this whole cool experience. And, you know, a lot of those guys are local, but other people bringing, not all of them, right? And it's all about other people bringing it. And one of the things that they do that Houdini makes sure that they do is they travel a lot.
Yeah.
They go to different like festivals and go to different events and trainings and conferences about design because they want to have different lenses to see the world through.
Yeah.
So I think that, and of course, right, it's like, to me, I think diversity and literally color in our city is a beautiful thing, you know? So it's like, let's bring,
I love it.
Yeah, bring the people.
I embrace it fully because I don't know. I think the old Spokane I had a harder time identifying with, and it's part of why I did city chapters and am doing it because like I just want to, you know, create a community for myself, and city chapters is my way of creating my own, I guess, type of community that connects with other communities. And so like doing this forces me to find and connect with people, and especially through the podcast. Like that's why I say this has became part of my purpose, because it is literally connecting me with amazing individuals that I get to talk with and learn from. And like you said, perspectives of especially people that move here. Like one thing I always hear people say here is like, oh, I just love the community here. Like it feels, and I'm just like, dang, that is not how I see things. And I don't like that.
Sure, but
and
that's how you grew up.
It's changing. It's changing, but it's like, I don't know. I've always, and that could be from lifestyle choices that I used to make, whatever, but I always, and still do have this sense of feeling isolated. And that could be my own choices, the way I live my life that I'm trying to learn and work through of how do I be more connected, you know, learning too that like maybe I became a lot more introverted through the years than I used to be, especially when I stopped drinking. I was
gonna say,
And so like learning how to navigate without that as a social component has been a learning curve, I guess. And so, you know, learning like, oh, there's places I have to put myself into though. I have to be uncomfortable, whether I have to do it myself because my homies don't want to go or my friends don't want to go. I got to go put myself in a maybe uncomfortable environment in the essence of like, oh, I don't really maybe know anybody there or whatever. And it's just like starting to do that more and more. And, you know, that's been good. So, and I mean, Spokane it really is such a beautiful place.
It's cool.
I mean, we have obviously challenges that we're facing, but every city does. And, but like, I would say more and more, I've just been falling more in love with Spokane again. Or maybe for the first time ever. I don't know. You know, it's like, I have my slogan for the love of the city. Because love, like I look at it like a relationship. Like there's things about Spokane I don't love. Or like I don't like or bother me, I guess maybe is a way to say that. And that happens in any relationship.
I was going to say, exactly.
You know, like when you love somebody, that's why unconditional love is important, because it's, you know, with that relationship, there's going to be things that person does that you don't like, and you decide to
right.
still love them, keep loving them
That's right.
regardless.
Yep.
And that's something that I've had to learn, because I think for a long time, and I think conditional love has its place, but how, like, there's
Sure.
also an overbearing essence of like unconditional love for life,
Yeah.
unconditional love for where you live,
Yeah.
because you can either try to focus on the negative of it all, or you can try to, look at where the beauty is
Yep.
too. And if you choose to look at where the beauty is, your life is only going to get better.
Yep.
And, that's definitely something that I had perspective shifts on, because one, it's just like these people that come on that move here, they're just like, yeah, it's awesome here. Like, we're like, it's like the people here are so great. Like,
You're
I'm just like,
going,
wow,
what?
okay, yeah.
Yep.
That's good,
Yeah.
and I think too, the dynamics, social dynamics in Spokane have changed a lot within the last 5, 6, 7 years, because of the influx of different people from different cities that are used to different social constructs than what Spokane used to be. And Spokane at one time, for me growing up, it was, and I think that actually I would say over the last few years, I've seen it dissipate way more than it used to be. But Spokane used to be very cliquish. Like, it was like based upon who you went to high school with.
Right.
Those are your people. That's who you hang out with. You might have satellite friends, but like really, it was, people were not very open to other people if you didn't go to high school with them, or like in general, that was how it felt.
Yep.
And now it's like most of the people you meet aren't even from here, so they're looking to meet people, which is awesome.
Yep.
I love that. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is honestly bringing the life to the city, is that social
I was going to say
construct being
it's an
broken
infectious kind of energy to it. Yeah.
It's like, why are we holding on to this when we can be more a community?
Yeah. Well, it's like it not only strengthens community and just, and that's a fundamental part of our well-being as humans, is to feel a connection in community. Mm-hmm. When we do feel isolation, and right now we are, reporting to be the loneliest that we've ever been in our lives.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just you and me, I just mean humans in general, and our country especially is saying that they're more lonely than they've ever been. We are craving community, and I think that's why people, because that feels like it's happening here, it feels so good, and people are naming it and then wanting to build it, because it's like, oh man, I didn't know how much I needed this. But that is how we are, conditioned. That's how we are biologically wired, is to work, live, be in community with each other, to be in close proximity with each other, not just isolated by yourself alone in your house, or just you and, like for me, my family is my husband and my kid, that's a pretty small village.
Totally. I have my mom, my dad, which my relationship with my dad is completely distant, and my mom, right now, currently, it's not what I would love it to be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's where this is how it goes with family sometimes. But I'm very close with my brother.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's like I don't have any other family.
Right. And so that's why the community's so important, that you do have kind of this chosen family or chosen village of people that you can lean on, So I think that people are feeling that here in Spokane, and it is kind of becoming infectious and growing. And I do think that if you're willing to kind of put yourself out there a little bit, and maybe go to a few places, like you said, that maybe you go by yourself or whatever, like, you're going to find that people are going to pull you in, because like, community is infectious. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't know why, but totally is my word now. I've been saying it a whole lot.
I feel like my new saying is, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you know how when you say it like a few times and then you hear like you just
I've said
did.
it so many times, I realized I'm saying it. You
Well,
know?
I didn't notice it at all. Now I'm going to notice it.
Now I got to try not to say it. So we got about, I guess, 10 minutes because you said you had to get out of here at 5.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what future events do you have that you want to tell about Anam Cara
Yeah. Oh man. How do we only have 10 minutes left,
I know,
Bobby? There's
crazy.
like so many more things to talk about.
Like I am baffled.
Well, let's see. The things that are coming up at Anam Cara, we always have events. So, kind of how we work is we do teach daily meditation and mindfulness classes. So they're 30 minutes and you can just pop in person, but you can also take them virtually, which is great. Like we literally had people this week in Antigua, like in the Caribbean, in France. We had people in Costa Rica. We had people in Texas, people in Mississippi, people in Michigan, people in Seattle. I mean, it's just so fun to have, again, just community that doesn't have to be right here and you don't have to necessarily leave your house. It's one cool thing that came out of the panty times is that we like realized, wow, this thing Zoom is like kind of cool. But so we have the daily meditation classes and then we do events like, that's how you and I met was at an event you came to, the human design event. We have events that are just open to the public. There's usually 1 to 3 a week and they're usually in the evening, sometimes on the weekends, like during the day, but usually in the evening. And they're anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours and kind of ranging on all topics from, how do we take care of ourselves, like spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, like how do we have the feeling of wholeness and well-being, and really everything we do relates to that. So the events that we do, like sound baths, breath work, next week we've got like a unraveling anxiety event. Bex does the human design events with us every month. So we've got that going on, and then we do the one-on-one sessions as well. So I do Reiki and somatic work. You've got to check that out. We'll have to talk about that another time.
We're gonna have to do.
We might have to do a part
chapter,
2. We might have to do a part 2
definitely.
chapter. Yeah. Or
Totally.
I guess, it'll be chapter whatever.
Yeah.
Chapter.
But chapter continued or,
But so we do one-on-one work where, you get to work with either me or other practitioners. And we offer all different kinds of modalities around just energetic support, but also just coaching, where you can come in and have somebody give you some perspective and some tools and some tips, around whatever you're working through in life. And if you work with me, that could be anything around, business to personal life, to relationships, career.
Cool. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So I do just straight coaching, and that's great too. Basically, combining kind of all my years of experience in the business world, and management world, and then relationships and family science and trauma work and all that good stuff. So we do that. And then corporate work. So if you have teams, if you want to bring me or I have several different teachers in to work with your team, we do everything from things that are fun, like kind of sound bath or yoga class, things like that, to, workshops or keynote speeches around stress, anxiety. And we talk to teams of anywhere from 5 to 500. And we do retreats. We're going to Fiji and then Mexico.
Wow.
So those are fun. Those are coming up.
Sounds amazing.
I know you guys might want to get on this Mexico retreat. It's going to be a co-ed one, so that should be really fun. And just tons of ways to connect with us. Just, it's all about supporting your well-being, making you, if you, we're sitting here talking about community, and if you are listening to that going like, what the hell do they mean? Like, I don't feel that sense of community. I'm sitting here listening to this podcast. Like, I would love to meet people. Come to Anam Cara. Like, it seriously is a great place to meet people, to connect with like-minded people who are trying to better themselves, to live a life that feels connected. I really approach mindfulness from a perspective of, science and like understanding how it works, but then also, one part of just kind of like spirituality and heart-centeredness and what feels good, so it's a great place to just connect with people who are into that kind of thing, if that's your kind of vibe. And then we've got a conference coming up called TLC, that's called Thrive, Learn, Connect, and that's a one-day conference that's designed for teams and individuals to come spend a day doing different workshops and networking opportunities, and learn tools to navigate burnout, to navigate overwhelm in the workplace. So many of us have experienced working in toxic workplaces. And so whether you're the person who can change that, or you have to navigate that in some way, we are going to spend a whole day giving you tools and tips for that. So that's in September. That's going to be September 20th. So but check out Anam Cara Healing Center online and on Instagram. That's where we kind of stay the most active, and come see us. Yeah,
we'll have all that info in the show notes too, so make sure the address and all that stuff is there for you.
Thanks, Bobby.
I guess we'll close it up. I wish we could keep going.
I know. I got to go get that pizza with my family.
You got
but
pizza to get,
but
which is
this
important.
Is fun. I could do this all day with you. This is great. Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely have you on again.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here. Just want to acknowledge, what a just special person, great person you are. Like, every time I see you, your energy is just amazing. I'm thankful that you're doing what you're doing here in Spokane, and I'm coming back. I need to
we got to get you back.
Especially interested in coaching and some of the other aspects you were talking about that I didn't realize you offered. So all right, we'll close it up.
Thanks, Bobby.
All right, this is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. This chapter was with Hannah Talbot from Anam Cara. And shout out Spokane for producing and sponsoring this show. All right, take care.